This show is produced by the Hartman Media Company. For more information and links to all our great podcasts, visit hartmanmedia.com.
Welcome to The Commercial Investing Show, where we analyze, explain, and exploit the opportunities presented in today's commercial property marketplace. If you're interested in apartments, mobile home parks, self-storage facilities, and other income property, you've come to the right place. We'll explore what's hot and what's not in markets nationwide in the relentless pursuit of return on investment. Here's your host, Jason Hartman.
Hey, you've all heard about 5G. There's lots of debates about 5G, but regardless of what you think about 5G cellular service, it's here and it's going to expand. And we need a lot more cell phone towers than we have now because the technology is different. It requires a dramatic increase in cell phone towers. And years ago, I did a show on cell phone tower real estate investments. And now we need more cell phone towers with this new technology. So I'm really happy to bring in Hugh Odom. He is a cell tower consultant. He has a company called Vertical Consultants, and we're going to hear more about this. Hugh, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's really good to have you. So you're coming to us from Nashville, Tennessee. What's going on with cell phone towers? How much has the demand increased?
Well, especially with COVID, you're seeing a lot of race to get out 5G faster than ever. And with that, you're having to densify the networks. And densification means more cell sites. Right now, approximately in the United States, there are about 500,000 cell sites across the United States. In the next 3 to 5 years, they need to build out another million plus cell sites to keep up with the demand for 5G. So that means 2 times as many as there are right now. So what does that mean for property owners? It means the availability to lease their land to an AT&T, a Verizon, a T-Mobile, et cetera, to put 5G sites that are needed to enhance the 5G network they're building out.
What does it have to do with COVID?
Well, COVID has really emphasized a need for wireless services, for telehealth services, for educational services, for employment opportunities. You're seeing more and more demand on data, which your cell phone really now isn't a phone, it's a small computer, and you have it as a data device.
Right.
So 5G is necessary to keep the speed up and also the amounts of data that are traveling through the wireless network.
Okay, so just general increase in demand is all that is, right?
A tremendous increase in demand.
I know this is probably not your thing, but I just have to ask you because people are thinking about it, right? There's been all this debate about 5G. We're all going to get radiated to death, all this kind of stuff. Do you have anything to say about this?
Well, we're not in the health and safety industry, but what I'll tell you from experience being in the industry for 20 plus years is that we don't see it as a huge risk unless you have constant exposure to the equipment right next to it. And so I tell people you should be more concerned about going to the fast food restaurant down the road a few times a week than a 5G site down the road from you.
How much space does a property owner need to have a tower installed and they're going to get like monthly revenue from Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, et cetera, right? Is that how it all works? Yeah.
So you're leasing out somewhere between, usually we try to see between 1,000 to 5,000 square feet.
Oh, it's pretty big.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Depending on a smaller cell site, you may see something in the hundreds of square feet, but you're going to have this tower and equipment on the ground as well that serves the tower. So you're going to need that. And what we're trying to tell people is, you're going to get a recurring revenue, but really what you need to think about this as a utility agreement where you get the right amount of rent today based upon what's going out there today, but you structure it based upon the value being derived tomorrow or 5 years from now or 20 years from now. And that really is how you generate more and more revenue and better returns on these things, because all an AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile wants you to agree to is a rent, an escalator, and a term where they fix their costs over that period of time. They keep on upgrading, adding equipment, and the property owner never sees anything additionally. So it really is understanding you're leasing real estate, but really you're leasing utility.
When you say utility, you mean how useful it is to that cell phone company, right?
Exactly. So Think of it this way. If you're leasing a space to Exxon and they said, we're getting 1,000 barrels of oil a month from this well, and then you wake up one day, you see some guys out there and they say, hey, we're able to change this equipment up and now we're able to get 5,000 barrels of oil a month. And you say, how much more money am I getting? I said, nothing. We're paying the same amount no matter what we get out there. You'd say, hold on, I should be getting more money. That's what the cell tower companies do. They're able to change up equipment, do things out of the site, but the property owner consistently gets paid the same thing. So it's based upon that utility, based upon the service they're providing off that cell tower. And that's how we try to structure these agreements to get fair value for our clients.
Are you saying that you would negotiate into that lease for your property owner client a deal where, for example, if the tower gets more usage, they would get paid more money?
Not only more usage, it's basically, think of it this way. If it was a 4G tower, they get a certain amount of money. They upgrade to 5G, AT&T upgrade to 5G, they'd be able to renegotiate. The property owner would be able to renegotiate based upon that modification because AT&T is getting more value from that site.
Okay, good stuff. What if they don't have actual land for a tower? I mean, I remember, I was looking at an office building deal. I don't think office is too good an investment. I really like housing the most. But they just put the antenna, or I shouldn't say tower, antenna on the building itself. They didn't actually require any additional land. Is that not true with 5G?
No, 5G is going to use a lot of existing structure because the need for the additional sites. As I mentioned, they're going to have to build out about 1 million new sites. So they're not going to be able to actually build 1 million towers. They're going to be looking for rooftops, whether it be on a residential apartment complex, an office building, a shopping center, et cetera, because they can use the existing structure as that infrastructure versus a cell tower they're going to have to build out. So if you have a commercial property in an urban area, especially right now, you have a higher probability of getting something up there than you did, let's say, last year.
So if you have a building that's 4 stories already, that's an advantage to the cell phone company, right? Because they don't have to build that tower.
Your building is a cell tower.
Yeah, right. I got it. Give us an idea of how much revenue a property owner can generate from this.
Well, you're looking at, we try to say in the short term, you're looking at somewhere generating from, let's say, a couple $1,000s a month to $4,000 or $5,000 a month, depending on the site, of course. And then over time, you're talking about, based upon if you structure correctly, you're talking $2 to $3 million worth of value over the life of a 25 to 30 year lease. That's if you structure correctly. We see the average cell tower lease leaving on the table about between $1 to $1.5 million of the life of those leases because they don't know how to negotiate them.
How are you calculating that? Are you calculating a cap rate? Just, it increases the net operating income of the building or the land. So are you doing that on a cap rate or a value of the property increasing metric? How are you doing that?
You can look at it on a cap rate basis, but what we do is in the industry, you do it on a multiple basis of the actual rents being paid. So that's if there's a valuation. If you said, I have a cell tower lease with, let's say, Verizon, and I'm getting paid $2,500 a month, $30,000 a year. In the industry, you're paid, if you want to sell me that asset, you're paid upon a multiple of those annual rents. So depending on the situation, it ranges between 15 to 25 multiple. So that's how you value the asset itself, just the cell site lease itself. But what happens is, again, most property owners look at it and say, hey, I'm getting a $2,500 a month. I'm getting a 3% escalator in a 25-year term, but I have no upside. The more upside potential you have, the more value you can add into it, the more valuable the asset is. Because if you're re-entering and renegotiating over and over and over and over, rents are going up, of course, and the valuation is going up.
How do these deals typically start? I'm assuming that the cell phone companies have a whole system of scouts out there looking for properties and approaching owners. Or is it more that the property owner is like raising their hand and say, hey, look at me, put a tower here? Or does it just kind of go both ways?
Well, the first way with the cell tower companies, the carriers going out and looking for sites and hiring local or regional people to do that, that's the predominant way of doing it. And somebody will knock on your door, send you an email, make a phone call. The other way is right now we're seeing a lot of people reach out to us. We get probably 300 to 500 people a week contacting us saying, I have a great location for a cell site. We try to refer those people over to a couple companies that are building across the nation, building cell towers, putting up sites on buildings, and see if their property fits within the plan over the next 12 to 36 months. And if we can get them over to those people, that's good for the property owner to enhance their marketability of that property. It also provides a supply to the company's building, and it's kind of like a conduit. It narrows the gap between the two because the property owner gets his property in front of the people they're building, and the people they're building have a direct route to those people as well. What
should people know? What should property owners know about this? Just questions I haven't asked you.
Well, the biggest thing we talk to property owners is when you're approached for a new sell side agreement, or if you have an existing one and you're able to renegotiate, if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to extend my existing lease, or I want to modify equipment, or I want to add space, don't worry about what you're being offered. Biggest mistake people do. They say, look, how much am I being offered?
It's always lower than you should get, right?
Exactly. Understand what you're offering that cell tower company or that wireless carrier. And that value is based upon many things, but two basic principles: the utility or value they're going to derive from that site, and the detriment they would be in if they didn't have it. See, if you understand those two things and you understand you're offering them something of value, you don't look at that $2 they're offering you and they're getting, that wireless carrier is getting $10 of the value out of it. You realize they're getting $10 of value and you want to get as close to possible to that $10 on your side.
But how do you know that? Well, I guess you guys know that.
Contact us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a huge industry, but there's just a lot of insider information because the nature of the industry is so closed. You can't go out and pull up a website and see what everybody's getting paid. It's not public information. You can't understand, if you don't understand what the other side is doing and the value of those things, you never can negotiate a good deal. I use the analogy of it. Look, you can be a real estate guru. The guys on the other side do this every day, and it's like being the best baseball player in the world, but they're asking you to play football. Some of those skills translate, but you're still going to lose to that football guy that plays this every day.
Yeah, that's for sure, because that's just what they live, eat, and breathe, right?
They spend tens of millions of dollars every year to make money on their side. So you don't have a chance. You may think you know, but you really don't know.
As far as the consumer is concerned, because, everybody uses cell networks, right? Yeah. And I just want to talk about the consumer, of us people just using our phones, right? If we were to sign up for 5G coverage today, I heard it's just kind of a myth. I didn't even upgrade my phone the last time around. I just kept the same phone because I heard that there's really just virtually no 5G coverage yet. Is that true, or how much coverage is there?
Well, the latest statistics we've seen is there's about 19% of the country covered. Now, I say that, but that 19%, if you break that down, there's not really true 5G available right now. It's a lower level. It's kind of 5G light. And because the equipment being installed, the network being set up. So if you're in that 19, 20%, you're going to have upgraded service to 5G. You're going to get a lower level of 5G for the rest of the United States. It's continuing to roll out, but it's going to take another 3 to 5 years before you really see true 5G.
What about other countries around the world? I mean, is the U.S. Falling behind in this, or are we doing okay with it, or how's it compare to Europe or Asia? I bet Asia's really good.
China is so far ahead. They're already starting their development of 6G, which is a far level above 5G will ever be. So Asia is far ahead. Europe is gaining ground. The United States is we're kind of a servant to the Chinese with regards to equipment. And so our rollout with Huawei as being our principal provider of equipment is keeping us from building out 5G. We need to focus more in the United States to build out the network. So we're behind, and we're falling behind every day, farther and farther.
That's unfortunate. It really is. As far as real estate investors listening to the show now, who are we speaking to? And I talked to you a little bit about this off air before we started, but I just want to get it on the air for people. Someone listening thinking they want to take part in this, they want to profit from this 5G rollout, and they're interested in real estate investing, or they're already investing in real estate. Should they do something, or is this more like sort of a passive opportunity, if you will, where you already just happen to have a property that is maybe a candidate, and you take advantage of good consulting and maybe raising your hand and getting the attention of a company to put a tower there? Or is there an opportunity to be proactive and do something where you should go out and buy certain types of properties and put a tower there? Or is it just not like enough money? It's always kind of a side thing, maybe? Well,
I think first, if somebody engages you, you should try to maximize the value and structure that correctly. If you have an existing cell site on your property, you need to understand how to renegotiate that and maximize value there. If you're going out and buying a property, I wouldn't buy a property to put a cell site on. It's something, if you buy one, it's always nice to pick up the phone and say, hey, is this property possible to get additional income or ancillary revenue through a cell site? And based upon how the network lays out for an AT&T, Verizon, et cetera, it may be something that either they will come to you at some point, or you can pursue it by, as I mentioned, connecting with the right group to see if in the future there's a build out plan, so you get your property on the list for that possible build out in the future. So, but I would not advise somebody to buy a property to put a cell site on.
Hugh, let's wrap it up here. Give out your website and just any closing comments you have.
Sure. Our website is celltowerleaseexperts.com. Again, that's celltowerleaseexperts.com. Again, if you have an existing site or been contacted for a sell site, please feel free to reach out to us.
Hugh, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.